ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Welcome to the Friday edition, August 14th, 2026, halfway through the month of August. Friday Night MLB Bright Lights. Myself and Scotty Webb get you caught up. Yesterday's action, today's action, a little day baseball in Wrigley Field. And my eyes like the dog here today, which is scary, which usually means, Cubs win 6-1 or something. But first and foremost, shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Headliner today. I got a little creative here. I think Scotty got a dad joke out of this one. Fat chance Snakes sail to victory versus Braves. Obviously, Mr. Fat and Sale are pitching today and kind of use their names, but however we mix them up here in the lanes of sports and sports broadcasting. Huge win for the Red Sox last night. I say beat Max, who pitched pretty well, by the way. But Tolley was phenomenal. He's been lights out all year. His last two starts especially. Kind of comical, first and second, and no outs. And Contreras bunts foul, and then bunts and moves the guys over to second and third. And prior to that, he goes up to Durbin in the dugout and says, "Hey, I'm going to bunt, and then they're going to walk Yoshida to pitch to you, so be ready." And what does Durbin do? Hits a grand slam, stops the bleeding as the Sox head to Pittsburgh, and they get no Ashcraft, Scotty's Banky, thank goodness. They get Bubba Chandler today. I assume Jones tomorrow. And Paul Skeens on Sunday. That's if he pitches, I guess. And who knows there. But anyways, let's bring him in. Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
Well, we are getting down to the end of it in baseball. There's most teams have 40 games. There's a couple teams have 39 now. So they're getting under that 40 number. I think there's some series that make matter and most don't. You're looking at Detroit Detroit went through Cleveland in the last couple of days. Now they get the White Sox, so that's big for them. And you don't look now, but Detroit's in the third position of the wild card. They're in, so that doesn't mean they're going to stay there. That just means that's where they are for now. But if my guess is that they win the AL Central, so they won't even be a wild card team. So we'll see what really kind of happens there. I think there's some battles going on, right? San Diego, they're battling pretty hard. The Phillies are now going to be in a battle with them. So we'll see what happens with that as the rest of the season plays out. And we'll see if San Diego made the right choices with those two pitchers they got, and we'll see if Philadelphia made the right choice in getting a rise or not. I think that's going to be interesting. Other than that, there's not a whole lot. It's going to be a whole lot different. Looking at my numbers, I've got the AL East being dominant. The two teams are going to make it in from there. You're going to have the winner and then two teams. I think Detroit's going to win, and then whoever wins in the West. But I also think whoever finishes second in the West is probably going to be the last wild card.
I'm going to start in the NL. Listen, I go back to last year because it was comical, and replay the tapes. All-star break, the mash unit of the rotation of the Dodgers. August 1st, September 1st, October 1st, and again, down 3-2 going to Toronto. They were scratching it, but they got it done. Insert Kyle Tucker, insert Diaz, get off to a great start. Injuries, injury. It doesn't matter. It's just we know what their rotation is going to look like come October 1st. But I mean, let's not just go over it because something's going on in the National League. And you follow me on this one. We know the Dodgers are going to win the West. That's not the problem. The Brewers took over the best record in the MLB. And then your Rays came out of nowhere, and now the Brewers took it back. But where I say there's a problem here is that the Braves now have as many wins as the Dodgers. And listen, we know Diaz got hurt. We know he did the same thing as Scooble with that surgery or whatever. There is an issue this time, though. There's 6 weeks still, to get this corrected. But another blown save, pull them out, and a loss here. And our buddy Rocket Sauce brought it up. I said it tongue in cheek on Monday. We all assume the Phillies are going to get in there. Well, you got now Arizona and San Diego. San Diego's playing some great ball right now, and we know they have veteran leadership with Machado, with Tatis. We know it was the starting pitching. I don't want to just insert the Phillies because we want to see that three-man rotation. We want to see that place rocking. But again, unless they wake up in a hurry here, I'd hate to see the Phillies outside looking in and go over the Dodgers with Diaz here. There's a problem.
Well, I don't know what the problem is. I can say it this way. The Phillies are the better team between the San Diego and between Arizona. It's
No
just a
doubt,
matter.
no doubt.
It's just a matter whether they hit or not. That's their issue. It's not pitching; it's hitting. They struggle like the Yankees do. They're just. I don't want to say they're just like the Yankees because they're not. They seem to have a little bit more on base guys than what the Yankees do. But the Yankees are starting to be a little more on base and they're starting to score a little bit more, or a little. I shouldn't say a little bit more, a little more consistent. But the Phillies win when Schwarber hits a home run, or when Harper's hitting and driving in runs, or Turner's doing what he's doing, and that's it. They don't win any other way. So they need those guys to be good. And I say that, and Bryson Stott's got like a 16-game hitting streak or something like that. So these guys got to hit and be consistent the rest of the way. I was looking. I wasn't looking at the Phillies, but I will because I think it's important. The Phillies have so the Atlanta Braves play the third toughest schedule remaining, which is that's not necessarily good for them, but I mean it's not necessarily bad for them. They got a pretty good lead. But the Phillies play the fifth toughest remaining schedule, number 5. So what does that look like? They got 3 against the Rays. They got 3 against the Brewers. They got 7 against the Braves, which that'll help them if they win those games. But they had 7 against the Braves. They got 3 against the Diamondbacks, which there's 3 that can help them too. And then they got 3 against Houston and 3 against the Marlins. The bad teams they play are the Angels. They got 3 against the Angels, 4 against the Mets. They got 2 against the Twins and 2 against the Nationals. I guess those must be partly in brain-out games or something. Why wouldn't they have 3? But they got 2 against those 2 teams. And then I'm looking for who's the other one. We talked about San Diego. San Diego is the Padres. Where they're 15th on the list, so they're right in the middle. They got 3 against the Rays, 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Yankees. They got 3 against the Diamondbacks and 3 against the Marlins. And then a whole bunch of bad teams. They play Cleveland, they play Cincinnati, the Pirates, the Giants, and the Rockies. That's pretty good for them. That's a pretty good way to go for them.
You're going to call me crazy here. And I'm a big Padre fan, especially when they got Bogarts. I go back to Tony Gwynn. I go back to Hell's Bells with Hoffman. You're going to call me crazy when I say this. They
Probably.
played better. They played better against the tougher opponents. I think they get lackadaisical against the weaker opponents.
Yeah, that's. I don't think that's crazy. I think that's their MO. I think that's. They don't have the motivation to go play the best every day. They want to go play the best to beat the team that's in front of them. So that's kind of how they operate or seem to. And I don't know that that's a managerial thing. I think it's I think it's the guys on their team thing. So whatever, we'll see what that looks like as they go down the road. Arizona plays the 13th most difficult schedule. So there's some, it's, in my opinion, it's still kind of up for grabs. Philadelphia's got the tougher road to hoe, it looks like, with the remaining schedule. But they also have the best pitchers. So Arizona doesn't have pitchers. I mean, I know they got what's his name back. The guy that's been hurt all season. Well, not all season, but he got hurt and he came back. And then Rodriguez has pitched above his data metrics. His data metrics are terrible, but he's pitched better than that. So and then you got Fox going today, and he's been an ace since he's come back. Yeah, he's only had one bad start in like 10. So he's been really good. And I say they don't have any pitching because they're still throwing Merrill Kelly, for God's sakes. So it is what it is with that team, and they're streaky on offense. And I think the Padres are streaky on offense too. And most of their offense, most of the season hasn't been good. Machado hasn't hit, and he's still really not hitting. So I don't know where they're going to generate consistency in play and make that run. I don't trust the Padres to do anything. I don't mean that in a mean way. Yeah, what have they done? Where have they ever won anything? Look, there's rocket sauce this afternoon. Did Scotty just say the Phillies have 7 more against Atlanta? The Phillies have 7 more against Atlanta. Yeah, they got 7 more against Atlanta. They do.
Are you having flashbacks of 3 years? It would have been 3 years ago where Arizona came out of nowhere. They got hot in that second half, especially late August and September. And if I remember correctly, which don't quote me on, but that was the Rangers Arizona fiasco 3 years ago.
Yeah, I hope we don't have that shit.
Yeah, but my point is, again, I don't want it. It's almost that same formula where you counted them out, and here they come. Here come the Padres. And again, I think it would be if I had Biff's almanac right now, I think either or Padres or Diamondbacks are going to get in, and the Phillies are going to find a way to get in. I'd be shocked if Arizona and the Padres both get. It'd be sad. I'll tell you what. If I'm Dombrowski and I don't get in this year, I tighten up my resume.
All right, so let's say it this way. Let's just say it this way. We know that the Dodgers are in, and we know that the Cubs or the Brewers are in. Whoever's going to win, and then whoever's going to be second place is going to be in because they're better than all the rest of them too. So those 3 are in. And then you know that somebody's going to win the AL or the NL East, and we'll just say it's the Braves, right? So those 4 teams are in, right? So you got 2 left. So of the 2 left, you've got the Phillies, and you've got San
I mean,
Diego.
technically, you got Philly, San Diego, Arizona. Marlins are 2.5 back. Cardinals, I'll throw in a 3 back. Anyone after that, Washington, Cincinnati, they're done. So you throw in the Miami and St. Louis, but realistically, Cards, Diamondbacks, Phillies, those three fighting for 2 spots.
Yeah, I don't think you can count the Cardinals in there. The Cardinals don't have it. They don't have the offense. They don't have the pitching. They're not gonna sustain the numbers. The Cardinals will be lucky to finish ahead of be third in their own division. Between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, those two teams could get hot, and then all of a sudden they're ahead of the Cardinals. So my thought's going to be is that this is going to be, you got the Phillies, you got San Diego, and you've got Arizona. And if I was going to rank them, that's exactly how I would do it. I would use San Diego, Philadelphia, Arizona, and that doesn't mean that with a couple wins, Arizona wouldn't be ahead of San Diego, and or with a handful of wins so that's where I have them separated, right? I have San Diego at like 82.8 wins, so I'm almost 83 wins, and I have Philadelphia at 85 and a half, so it's like 2.5 wins or maybe 3 wins better. Well, you still got to make up those 3 games, and then between San Diego and Arizona, it's like a game and a half. It's a lot closer. So I think San Diego's biggest thing is to keep Arizona back, and if they catch the Phillies and surpass the Phillies, they do. And the Phillies just need to, when their big 3 pitch, they win. If they win those games, that's 3 out of 5. That's 60%. They're going to be fine if they win those games, and that's kind of what they've done most of the year. But they got to do it now. And if they can do that, I don't think anybody's going to beat them. And I think you're going to run into that a different problem with San Diego and Arizona. They don't have a big 3 that can go win 3 out of 5 games every week. They don't have that. So they got to find ways to win other games, and with other pitchers. And if Painter for Philadelphia pitches like he has been, they might win 4 out of 5 games, or they might get a 3 out of 5 from a different person. Painter's been pretty good here as of late. Nola won last night, but I mean, whatever, it is what it is. So I think as they kind of come down the stretch here, I think Philadelphia is, in my mind, the favorite there, but they still have the tougher road to go. But you say that, but it maybe is one series against another team. I don't know. And what I'm looking at doesn't tell me whether they're home or away. And for Philadelphia, that's extremely important. Those home games are big. They don't get a chance to go play in the Iowa cornfield every day.
And I'll close with this till we get to the slate today. The fact of the matter is, a lot of times in sports, when your arch rival has a chance to keep you out, I'm going with the Braves here. If the Braves go 7-1 against the Phillies, say, hey, I want you guys the hell out of this playoff race. If they rattle off 7 out of 8 against them, and next thing you know, the Phillies are 2-3 games behind the Padres, and of course the D-backs. Again, we go. It's the 14th. We literally have 5+ weeks to go. Anything can happen. And again, we'll count the Cardinals out. But you're quietly 7-3 their last 10. They've won 2 in a row. How they're doing it, I don't know. I don't, and it's just comical. Day baseball today. Good here. Liebertor versus Clay Holmes.
I was going to say, the only other thing I wanted to say about the standings and where things are is the Cubs are quietly catching Milwaukee. And Milwaukee is quietly leaking oil. It would not surprise me in the least bit to see the Cubs pass Milwaukee. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And the reason I say that is because what's Milwaukee's MO? It's pitching, and they're cutting back on Mizorowski. Harrison hasn't been that good. Henderson's been okay, and they got they threw Sproat out or whatever they're doing with Sproat. They're throwing Gasser today. I mean, when you think about what they got lined up in their offense, if their offense isn't clicking, which it hasn't been clicking much, they don't have much to offer. So um, even if the Cubs don't pitch, they can hit. So the Cubs are, I think, what, 3 games now, maybe 3.5 behind Milwaukee. They're
Uh,
right there.
Cubs at 75 and 47. I'm sorry, Brewers 75 and 47 with their comeback win last night against the Dodgers. Cubs 71 and 51. Yeah, I've been talking, you have too, about this Cubs team. If I know Rick Sutcliffe, Pryor, Kerry Wood are not walking through that door right now. But if that team's hitting, they can play with anyone, Scotty. Absolutely anyone, not just in the National, in baseball.
Oh yeah, that lineup is deep. It runs deep. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the Cubs pass them, especially the way they're going. And I don't know. Let me look real quick. Cubs and Milwaukee. I'm trying to see if they play each other. Milwaukee, yeah. The Cubs and Milwaukee have 7 games left. That's a lot. And that's and Milwaukee has, listen to this. Milwaukee has 3 games against the Braves. They still have 3 games against the Dodgers, 7 games against the Cubs, 3 games against the Phillies, and 3 games against the Cardinals. That's not good. And then the Cubs, um, they got 7 games against Milwaukee, 3 games against the Braves, 3 games against the Red Sox. They got 3 games against the Diamondbacks, 3 games against the White Sox, and 6 games against the Marlins. And of course, the Diamondbacks, White Sox, and Marlins are all considered good teams because they're right around that 500 or better. But as far as I'm concerned, that's not the same type of thing when you look at what Milwaukee's got with the Braves, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Phillies, and the Cardinals. It's not the same. So I think it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes and what happens there.
Rocket Sauce says, I feel about the Phillies the way Jeff felt about the Sox a couple months ago. And it's not a fun feeling at all. The difference between your Phillies and my Red Sox is you have a front three second to none. Yeah, I lost Crochet. We brought over Suarez. We brought over Gray and all the kids that were supposed to be the next coming to Jim Rice, Fred Lynn, and the rest of that group, nowhere to be found. We caught lightning in a bottle. Just a historic run. And then again, you lose 5 in a row. That's why that win against yesterday with Tolley was so huge. We lose Whitlock. He says he's going to be back at some point. But again, because of that run, that back end was taxed. Every game seemed like Tracy was making sure that we get the win here. So we lose Whitlock. I assume they bring back Greg Weissert, just another arm back there. But Rocket Sauce says Phillies' final 3 games of the season at home versus Tampa. Good luck. Hey, listen, you don't have to worry about that because probably Tampa will lock up not just the East, the best record in the American League, and they're going to throw Scotty game 1, me game 2, and we'll find out TBA for game 3. So, Scotty, I can bring you front and center, let you do your thing. You don't have to go through them all. We know that. Day baseball at Wrigley. My eyes leaned, believe it or not, Cardinals, which means Cubs win 6-1 today. Scotty, take it away.
Yeah, that's a rough one there. What I thought when I looked at that game was, Cubs, Cardinals, it's a rivalry game. And then I started looking at it. I'm like, why this game is minus like 175. I'm like, holy shit, is that a price? And then when I priced it out, it was 175. So I was like, well, I guess it is what it is. And what happens is, and what I guess what made me started thinking about the Cubs catching the Brewers, the winning percentage that the Cubs are getting to. When I do my numbers and their winning percentage right now is sitting at 562, and that's 91.1 wins. There are only one, two, three, four teams in all of baseball that are over 90, with the Rays being the fifth team at 90. So that's exactly where I'm sitting there going. They can get to where they need to go, and it's amazing because the Cardinals have been playing decent baseball, but I've still got the Cardinals as a 76 win team. That they're a below 500 bunch, so that's a very dominant edge, and the line makers have it that way. So it's very hard. It's very hard, and you know what? It's one of these spots where when one team is so dominant over the other one, what does it matter what the pitchers are? Because it's going to be 170 something anyway, and in truth, you have a one WAR pitcher in Liberator, and you have Holmes, who's been hurt most of the year, but he's actually at 1.6. So Holmes is really the better pitcher. And when I looked, Holmes has made 10 starts all season, including the last start that he made, which wasn't the greatest first time back off the disabled list. He had two bad starts, the whole 10. And they're the last two, the one before he went on the disabled list and the one coming off. So then I sit there and go, well, shit, I don't want to bet on him because that his recent history shows that as he got hurt, he wasn't any good. And I know he broke his leg on a fluke play. And then this one coming back, he hasn't been good, but maybe that's a sign that some of the stuff that was going on before was too good to be true. But Liberator sucks. He's a guy that can be really, really bad. Now I say that. And then I was looking at his numbers and I'm like, well, shit, they're not really that bad. In his last 30 days, Jeff, he's this is good for you. In his last 30 days, he's a 3.67 xFIP, 3.73 Sierra. So he's a 3.71 run value score guy. And I just used the whole season for Holmes because I didn't know what to do with his number. I mean, I could have picked, like projections and stuff, but I don't need to do that. He's thrown 10 times. He's a 4.0, 4.15. So really, Liberator has better numbers right now than Holmes does. And I'm sitting there going, well, I don't know. I still don't trust Liberator. And then Liberator's got 25% strikeouts, which is green. That's a good number. And he's got a 1.35 home runs, which is average. He's got an average walk rate. So at least he's striking out guys. His swing and miss is average. But where he's getting his problem is he can't get guys out. Batting average against him is 338. 1.7 guys on base against him, even with those numbers. And he's getting babbited to death. He's a 436 BABIP number, 400, almost 450. So 45% of the guys, if they make contact, they get hits. It's unbelievable. So that's just unlucky for him, and maybe that'll shift. So maybe, he's the guys will hit the fielders and he'll get them out. But he's also got a bad RE24 score, so I don't like that. And then offensively, you can't go, like the Cubs. The Cubs right now are fourth in offense, 128 weighted runs created plus, 28% better than average offense. St. Louis is eighth, 114, so they're not too far off. I just think that the number is in my mind, it's a little inflated. I think it's too high, but I don't know that there's value in betting the other side. I think you see the value, and that shows, hey, I think I should bet St. Louis. My opinion would be I'm just going to stay the hell away from it because I don't know who's going to win. My gut tells me that Chicago's got a better bullpen. Chicago's got a more consistent offense, and Chicago has a pitcher that RE24 wise is not going to get blown up. He might get hit a little bit, but he's going to fight hard, and he's going to keep from having 3 and 4 run innings. And Liberator can, he can get blown up. So I would just caution, I guess is the best way to say it, that sometimes these values look really good, and you sit there and you got to say, well, they got to win, and are they going to win? I don't know. And you got to have the right guys hitting, and you got to have all the right stuff happening, and the Cubs have it. So I'm just like, I'm off. You know what I mean? Like, it's baseball is so hard at this point in time in the season, and I see these guys on Twitter throwing stuff out there, going, "I played this -1.5, and it's just winning like crazy." And I stop do this. Look, do what you want to do. I'm just telling you, there are games that you shouldn't be betting. Lugo is pitching against Rodriguez today. Who gives a shit? Don't bet that stuff because they don't care either. And when they don't care, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the runs are going to be like, and you don't know who's going to win these games. And I know a lot of people will look at that game and they'll go, well, Lugo's way better than Rodriguez is. Watch, Rodriguez is going to go shut them all down. I'm just saying, it's just that's the way baseball goes. So anyway, I did most of the games today. Like, and here's the biggest problem that I found in today's baseball games. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitchers. There's 9 pitchers that threw a game score 60 or higher the last time they pitched. So the expectation is going to be is, hey, what did they do for me lately? And I'm going to continue to believe that. Well, the first game we want to talk about is Miami and Cincinnati. I did this game not because of Cincinnati, but I did it because of Miami. Miami's trying to stay relevant. Alcantara has been really good most of the season. He's off a game score 82. His last 7's a 66. He's been dynamite, phenomenal. He's got a number that's a 395 xFIP, 408 Sierra, but Burns is a 371, 373. So the difference is only 1/3 of a run. So there is no real advantage in the pitchers. The biggest thing that I can tell you is Burns strikes out more guys, but at the same time that he strikes out more, he walks a lot more guys. That's been his biggest problem. He's been walking guys. Both of them are extremely hard to hit. They don't give up much batting average. They don't get much guys on base. But Sandy's got a real strong RE24 score. That means it's very, very, very difficult to bet against him. It's way easier to bet on him than it is to bet against him. Rocket Sauce says, parlayed the Phillies and Angels last night. Sack would be so proud. Well, there you go. And then you got hitters and batters with this. You guys know Cincinnati is 29th in offense. I mean, if you're going to back them today, you got to understand they're scoring under 3.5 runs a game. They are 39 weighted runs created plus. 39. 61% worse than an average team. You can't. I don't know how you're going to bet Cincinnati. They don't score. They don't hit. So the Marlins ranked 10th, 114 weighted runs created plus. I think there's value in the Marlins side. The question becomes is what happens with Sandy off of his big game that he pitched the last time, his big last 7 starts. Like, he's due to get hit. But, they're playing a team that's not going to hit. So I think so then it becomes, hey, am I a big dog? Am I getting a dog price? Well, not really. It's kind of a pick-em game. So I don't mind a bet on Miami is what I'm trying to say. At the same time that I say that I don't mind a bet on Miami, I'm not sure that I would go there just for value purposes. I didn't bet it. And then you got Jeff's team, and I like them today. You got Bennett, who hasn't been as dominating as he was. Bennett over his last 3 starts is a game score 50, so that's average. For his last 7, he's a 58, so he hasn't been as good. And he's going to face Bubba. Bubba Chandler has been probably in his best series of games that he's pitched all season. He's a game score 54 in his last 3. He's a 52.7 in his last 7. He's a 49 for the season. But what Bubba's doing that he hasn't been doing is he's getting people out when they hit the ball. The batting average against for him right now is 200, and his whip rate is 105. They've not been that low. They've not been that low because he walks everybody. Well, his walk rate right now is 8. That's average. Like 8.99 is above average. So he's borderline, but he's still under. His strikeout rate's still not. His strikeout rate's 20, almost 21. So he's not striking out the world. He still throws 100 miles an hour, but he does not a big strikeout guy as you might think. Where his improvement is in the hits allowed. He's getting less of those. He's putting the ball in better places. And the problem with Bennett, his strikeout rate is low. It's kind of always been low, but he's had the problem of giving up more hits, whereas he was in the green with batting average. Now he's in the average category. His whip rate was low. It's in the average category. So both of these pitchers kind of mirror each other in RE24 score. But what I like about this spot is Bennett is off of 48. Bubba's off of 73. I don't necessarily believe Bubba's going to throw another 73, and I don't think that Bennett's going to throw another 48. Now, here's the reality. The reality is both teams are not hitting. And when I say not hitting, they're both hitting about average. The Boston ranks 18th, and the Pirates rank 16th. That's kind of where they are on offense. The Pirates are 102 weighted runs created plus, and the Boston's 88. So they're 12% below average. But here's a big kicker that nobody looks at. Ex-WOBA, not WOBA, but ex-WOBA. So WOBA, weighted on base percentage. Weighted on base percentage for the Pittsburgh Pirates, 325. Weighted on base percentage for the Red Sox, 302. 302 is more of an average number. 325 is just borderline good. Great, good number. Well, here's the problem. Ex-WOBA. Ex-WOBA, the predicted number, what they should be doing. Boston, 303. Very consistent with its 302 correct number. So there's not any variance there. Well, the 325 of Pittsburgh drops all the way to 254. That's an 80-point drop. You don't see that. What that means is they're extremely lucky in the results they're getting on offense because they should be making a lot more outs. And they're not, but they should be. So as a result of that, you can look at this and you can go and say, well, there's a good likelihood Pittsburgh's offense is overrated coming into this game. They're going to face a pitcher who's probably going to have a bounce-back start, and their own pitcher is not. So that's why I like Boston today. I think Boston's probably the right side. I think Boston's a better bet today in this spot. Detroit is playing the White Sox. Detroit needs to win as many games as they can. They've been doing that for a month now. And now you've got a situation here where they're playing the Detroit's playing the White Sox, and it's a weird game. Newcomb is the starting pitcher for the White Sox. Now, let me just clarify to make sure everybody knows. Newcomb is a relief pitcher. He's not a starting pitcher. The starting pitcher who's going to get the most of the work today is Jose Urquidy. He's no good. So I don't know what the White Sox are doing. If they needed a pitcher, they should have got one in the trade deadline. Anyway, they're going to face Jackson Jobe. Well, Jackson Jobe is a highly tout, hard throw. He throws 100 miles an hour. He's a highly tout, hard throwing kid that's supposed to be really good for Detroit. Well, when he first came up and he pitched in the big leagues, he had so-so results. And that's kind of normal. But then he got hurt, and he hasn't pitched for a long time. He pitched his first time last time for like a year and a half. So his first start out was phenomenal. I think he had 10 strikeouts and only one hit or whatever. Game score 69. Don't expect him to do that again. I'm telling you that you're going to expect him to pitch worse in their first three starts, right? You're looking for an outlier high, an outlier low, and an average number. Well, there's your outlier high. So he's either going to throw an average game today or a below average game today, which means I'm not betting him. And when I looked at the numbers, they're sort of flip flopped in terms of offense. Detroit's been great offensively for a long time, and now I'll get back over to where they are. Offense. You go there, and Detroit right now is 24th in offense, and the White Sox are 6th. So the White Sox are hitting a little bit, and Detroit's not. So I think there's going to be a balance there of this game. So I know the line is relatively small, 140-ish. I have it much lower than that. Jackson Jobe in a projected WAR number is 0.3 or 0.2. Not one, but 1/3 of that or 20% of that. So that's where, my numbers are going to be what I think will be more accurate. And I think what the bookmaker's doing is saying, hey, this is what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a good guy. So let's give him a higher number and let's make this number whatever it is. It's 140 or something. I think it's too high. If I were to bet, I would be on the White Sox. I'm not betting White Sox. But I think I don't want to get in front of Detroit. I think Detroit's going to win. I think Detroit's going to win, the division, and it all starts with doing stuff like this. Rocket Sauce asked if I like Jobe for 5 strikeouts. Just because I don't think necessarily he's going to get a good game score, or that I don't think he's going to pitch super well, doesn't mean he's not going to get strikeouts. The White Sox, they're a team that does strike out some. They don't strike out a ton. What's your numbers? Are like minus? I wouldn't pay minus more than 130. I would make sure it's under that if you can get it. I mean, I don't know what your number is. I thought I had that on here. No, I didn't. Yeah, I do. I have him down for 6. I have Jobe down for 6 strikeouts, by the way, in projections of my numbers. I skipped over Washington and the Mets. Look, Washington's back to doing what Washington does. They score runs. The Mets have stock pitching on the mound. One of the worst starters that they have. That doesn't mean he's not going to pitch well. And I don't like Alvarez that well, so I'm just going to leave that one off the board. I wanted to bring up this game. This is San Diego and Cleveland, but I wanted to go here first. Let me get there. I need player stats. I need pitching. I need guardians. I need starters, not relievers, starting pitchers, and I need Gavin Williams. I wanted you guys to know something about Gavin Williams, and I really wanted to do this a different way. Let's go. Yeah, that's what I want to go here. I'm trying to set it up like I have it normally, because I want you to see something with Gavin Williams over his last 30 days. Standard is what I want. There it is. Okay, so Gavin Williams, how good has Gavin Williams been? When I posted up his numbers look like this. Gavin Williams is a 1.61, 1.48 xFIP Sierra guy. His run value score is 152, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, 152. That's obviously better than a 2, and there's hardly anybody that's ever that low. And I'm like, well, let me go look at this. And then I was like, wait, let me finish out putting his numbers across the board. He's a 45% strikeout guy. 45. I was like, are you kidding me? So I was like, all right, that's crazy. And he walks only 3.5% of the guys. It's He's been extremely dominant. So I was like, well, let me pull him up in a different way so I can explain this in a better terms. And so over his last 30 days, he's made 5 starts. In those 5 starts, he's pitched 31 innings. In the 31 innings he's pitched, he's struck out 51 guys and he's walked 4. 4 walks, 51 strikeouts, and allowed in 31 innings 16 hits. That's how good Gavin Williams has been. It's amazing that his 1-loss record in those starts, he's 1-2. That's because Cleveland can't hit. That's like Paul Skeens' stuff when Paul Skeens was actually pitching well. So I wanted to throw that at you because if you bet against him today, I think you're betting the wrong way. Like you can't bet against that. You may go and say, well, Cleveland's not going to hit. Well, neither San Diego against that. So then you start to go and say, well, maybe an under, maybe this, maybe that. So as this breaks out, right? King, he's off a game score 65 his last time out. He's a 56 in his last 7. Well, Gavin Williams is a 64 in his last 7. He's a 58 on the season. He's a game score 70 in his last 3. His last one was a 58. But you got to talk offense here. And offensively, Cleveland is 17th. They're 97 weighted runs created plus, so 3% worse than an average offense. That's right at average. And San Diego is 5th. They're 30% better than an average offense. So maybe you go and say, hey, Williams has got a better chance to offset that offense than does King the other side. And this number, though, is minus 123. And if you can get it at, my number was 117, so I didn't bet it. But if you can keep it under the 120 number or 125, I don't know where it's at now. Let me go look. I think that number is go over here, and let's see what this says. The Cleveland game is it's showing like anywhere from 128 to 127, 125. If you can get it under minus 130, I think Cleveland's the right side. I know that San Diego has been really good. I know San Diego's been hitting and all that stuff. But bats have to travel, and they're going to play at home, and this is Gavin Williams, and Gavin Williams has been really good. So that's my opinion. I think that Cleveland's the right side tonight. And then we have I didn't bet this. I didn't do this game. This is Baltimore and Tampa Bay. I want to kind of do the teams that are in it. Baltimore's not really in it. Tampa Bay certainly is. But this is a weird game where you have Tampa Bay's got an opener and Matz. Now, Matz can give up runs in the opener, so he's not been very good. And then Schultz is going to pitch whatever, and he's just an average pitcher at best. And then you're going to see Chris Bassett back for Baltimore. Well, that's not necessarily any help for Baltimore. And not only that, but the number one offense in baseball right now, belongs to the Tampa Bay Rays. 144 weighted runs created plus, 44% better than an average offense. But Baltimore's been good too. So I was thinking, well, maybe this is a good over. Well, Tampa Bay's bullpen has been excellent and excellent in this regard. Tampa Bay left on base percentage is 95% bullpen. So you don't see that. Anything that's 80% or higher is really good. They're 90. They're 95. That's unbelievable. So if they get on base, they don't let them in. So I don't want to bet the over. So then I was thinking, well, maybe the first 5 over. And then I thought, well, I don't know. What if Bassett pitches halfway decent? What if these guys don't do? The number's 4.5. I was like, I didn't like that number, so I just stayed off the game. But that's my thought is that these two teams should score runs somehow, some way, shape, or form. They should score runs, and maybe the better way to go is Tampa Bay team total over because they're hitting and they get to face Bassett tonight. Arizona is playing Atlanta, and this is another one of these games that Sale's really good. Fott's been really good. Sale's predictably really good. Fott is unpredictably really good. So when I looked at the line and I'm like, Arizona or Atlanta, it's minus 190 or so. I'm like, that's too high, but I can't bet on Arizona to cover that number. So I just passed on the game. Fott's off a game score of 76. He's a game score 72 in his last 3, and in his last 7, he's a game score 64. Brandon Fott. That's what I was saying earlier when we were talking about the stuff before. He's like an ace. So I'm just going to leave that one off the board. The New York Yankees and Garrett Cole. Obviously, Garrett Cole's another one of these guys who is pitching phenomenally well. Garrett Cole, his last 3 starts is a 67. His last 7's a 62. So he's pitching like he used to pitch. He's pitching like an ace. He's got 32% strikeouts, 4% walks, not allowing home runs. He's pitching really well, and Bieber's not. So, okay, those are the easy Yankees, right? Well, the Yankees are minus 155 or something like that on the road. And I'm like, I'm not going to go there. What if the Yankees do like they did yesterday? They don't score at all. I'm just like, not going to go there. So I do like the Yankees. I can't play them on the run line. They don't hit well enough to do that. So I'm going to leave that one off the board. And Bieber is getting better, but he's still not good. What I mean by getting better is his RE24 score and stuff is not where he gets blown out of the water. It's average. His strikeout rate is better. It's like 19%. Where is it? 17%. So it's better than it was. He still walks too many guys, puts guys on base, has these issues. So I do think the Yankees will probably win this game. But I don't want to lay the juice. The Seattle and Houston game, I like Houston. My computer likes Seattle. I don't know why. I kind of know why, but it's a mess. So this American League West is a mess to try to figure out. Kirby's been bad as of late. Kirby is a 4.84 run value score, and Lambert's a 403. So almost a full run better for Houston, which I like. But then when I was like thinking about betting on Houston scoring 2.6 runs a game. They're 32 weighted runs created plus. 32. 68% worse than an average offense. I can't go there. I can't go there. They are where is Houston? They're there. Their WOBA number is one of the lowest ones I've seen all season. It's 213. That's worse than a bad batting average. So they're not getting guys on base. So they're not walking. They are red in walks. They're still hitting the ball, not striking out, but they're making outs everywhere. So I'm like, I'm not going there. But on the other side of that, you go, well, bet on the other team. Well, Seattle's not scoring either. Seattle scores less than what Houston does. So I'm like, I'm out, just out. If you want to bet these games, you bet them under and cross your fingers that the bullpens hold up, and you bet them under. That's what you do. That's like when Seattle played the Yankees. They had one game there that, the Yankees scored 10 runs or whatever it was, but every one of them others, 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, something like that. These are unders. Kansas City and the Angels, we're just going to skip them. Texas and the A's, I wanted to look at because Texas needs to win these games. Rocket says I agree, Bieber, but I still took him under 2.5 runs because the Yankees simply can't hit. Well, there you go. The Yankees are hitting on an average basis right now, which is better for them than they have been. And they'll occasionally pop those home runs. But we'll see what happens. Like this is a big series I think this is a big series for Toronto to keep the momentum going as to kind of where they were headed. But at the same time that I say that, I'm sitting here going, you know, if the Yankees need this series too, they can't keep falling that far behind Tampa. Not that they're going to stay within the race with Tampa, but they got games against Tampa left, and it's not that they're. I think the Yankees think that with the pitching that they have that they're going to be able to run them down. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. They need offense, right? And the offensive guys are coming, but they're still weeks away. I think Bellinger's not weeks away. I think he's within a week away. But the other guys, Giancarlo Stanton and Judge, those guys are still, September-ish, end of August away. So we'll see what that looks like when those guys come on. So I think this is still big for the Yankees too, and they got to keep that margin between the Red Sox and the second place and third place wild card teams. Anyway, and then the comment says took Lambert under 2.5 runs too because Seattle's hot trash as well. Yeah, look, I would tell you that at the beginning of the year, if you would have told me that Lambert would be the Houston Astros best pitcher, I would have said no. Do you know that he wasn't even on the major league roster when the season started? He was a minor leaguer for them, just a positional sign-on guy. And then they had injuries and stuff happen, and look what he's done. He's done really well. Anyway, this Texas game with the A's, I can't figure it out. The line says minus 105, minus 101, or something like that. That was what I had with Profit X. So pick them, right? My number isn't like that. My number says Texas is going to beat the A's. The A's are, let me just say this the right way. The A's are the worst power rated team, in the American League. Nobody is worse, even the Angels. The Angels are not worse than the A's anymore. And it kind of goes like this in Major League Baseball. Colorado and then the A's. The A's are catching Colorado as the worst team in baseball. So Texas, I know people don't like Rocker. I think Rocker's the right side. I would be betting Texas. The only problem with this game that I ran into is Texas 63 weighted runs created plus right now. They're 27th in offense. They're not hitting. Now they face Jump, and Jump has been either good or bad. Last time out was pretty good. I don't expect them to necessarily be pretty good, so we'll see what happens there. And then Milwaukee and the Dodgers, I'm just going to leave that one alone because you got Yamamoto, who should be good against Gasser, and who knows what's going to happen in the back of the bullpen there. And here's an interesting series: Colorado and San Francisco, who theoretically will be playing for last place in the National League. Whoever wins this series, if Colorado beats the Giants will fall behind Colorado. And if the Giants beat Colorado, they get a little margin there. So interesting series that way.
Shout out to PB, shout out to Rocket Sauce, Kenny Magner, the regular cast of characters, of course, Mr. Lucky, Dr. Lance, Jay Berry, the Wager Wire community, of course. I can't stress this enough, and Scotty's doing his best to do it as well. I talk about my calendar, 365 days, is broken down into quarters or thirds by the sports calendar. And once you get past the the NBA and the NHL finals, you then have a 3-week race to the All-Star break. Okay, and then from the All-Star break, it's to the trading deadline, and then here we are into preseason NFL. And as Scotty is talking about this MLB schedule every day, I do it. I talk about the spaghetti strainer. I got 3 strainers on the desk. It's getting harder and harder, not knowing what's going on with the bullpens, which offenses are showing up, which starting pitchers are showing up, yada, yada, yada. I've kind of tilted a little to the left using the risk button because I've gone into a couple spots where the juice is a lot higher than we like to go to. So we'll risk the normal investment versus going after trying to cash in for a full unit. So my point is, guys and gals, don't get caught up in the fact that you made it, meaning October 1st, the playoffs start. There's still baseball and investments to be made, but don't get yourself over to the dark side into the preseason football. And then week zero's here on the 29th. There's 8 games, and there's really not a lot of good games here. So my point is, enjoy the rest of the summer. Get through August. Let's get to Labor Day. Okay, week 1 of football, and then we get to week 2 / the NFL first week, September 9th, Patriots at Seattle. September 10th, the Rams in San Francisco in Australia. Sunday the 13th, the first full Sunday, and then of course Monday Night Football. Okay, so again, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer the wet blanket. I just want you guys to enjoy and trust the process. I want you to understand what you guys do. It's a marathon. Just don't get caught up in that halfway point of the year. You see the football, but I don't want you to forget about baseball, and especially in September. Baseball gets pushed to the back. It's just like, oh, there's football. Blah, blah, the hell with this. There are low-hanging fruit to be picked off late August and September. So, closing thoughts, Scotty.
Yeah, there's a couple things there, and Rocket Sauce. I know that in answering your question about daylight savings times, I know that was voted on, and I know that it was passed in one of the legislative houses. I think the House passed it, or the Senate. One of them passed it. I think the other one has to pass it, and then it has to get to Trump to sign it. So I don't think it's official, but I think it's half official, I guess is the best way to say it. So I don't know that yet. So that's my understanding of where that sits. Obviously, I'm not totally adept at those things. I'm aware of what's going on that way, but I don't delve into it like some people do. But what I would say is you mentioned week 0, week 1 in college football. Look, I'm just going to tell you guys, after looking at this stuff, those numbers have been out since May, I think, maybe June. Well, certainly since June, but I think late May. People have already bet into that stuff. Now, their lines have moved from the opening numbers to where they are today, and they'll move a little bit more as the weeks get to closer. But what my point's going to be is that the best numbers are already picked through. So those week 0, week 1 numbers are not going to be much to bet. There's not going to be much to bet. I'm not going to give out much in that week. I like certain things, but I don't think I'm going to be going, hey, let's go bet this. We'll talk about like college football totals and what are the key numbers for college football totals and stuff like that. We can do that so that you're very aware. And I bring that up because there's a game. The first game, for example, is North Carolina, and North Carolina is going to play TCU. Well, the total opened at 50.5. The total is now down to 48. You want to bet that? You want to bet 48 when you could have got it at 50.5? Well, 48 is the last key number. So if it goes below 48 and it's sitting at 47.5, you better not bet it unless you're betting the overside. But you'd be going against everybody that's telling you that it's going to be an under. So my point being is that then that takes that game off the board, right? That game's off the board. And then if you want to bet on the TCU side, you could have got them at 6.5. Now it's 7.5. Well, you got to watch that because if it goes to 8, then I'm not going to worry about it because, sports books are kind of like, well, you know what? It went through a key number. Let's see if it goes through another key number. So, if it keeps going, then nobody cares. That's a good sign if you like TCU. So anyway, point being is we can get into all those kind of conversations as we go. Week 2 in college football, and Jeff was alluding to, it also matches up to the start of the NFL. And week 2 is also, Ohio State plays Texas, stuff like that. Now you're going to have some real football, some real good stuff. You're going to have lines that open and move and do different things. And that current week, and we can get into all kinds of stuff like we will the rest of football. with the understanding that, okay, we've got a pennant chase that we're going to be dealing with in baseball. We'll keep an eye on the betting numbers and what's good bets for baseball as we come down the stretch, with the eye on betting series prices, betting, positions for who's going to win, the American League and stuff like that might be good. It's a much shorter time frame now. You don't have to wait all year for your bets on those things, and we'll see what it looks like. And maybe we have some of those, maybe we don't, but we're certainly going to be betting series, and we're going to be, putting ourselves in positions to hedge bets that we have out there and some different things as we go along in Major League Baseball. So there's a lot more to come. It's just as we're, I don't want to say we're in a dead spot. We're in a spot where we're looking for something specific, and if we find it specifically, bet it. If you don't see it, don't bet it. It's that simple in baseball, because kids are going to be called up. They're going to be looking at what they have for next year or for whenever they start playing baseball again. They're going to have, all kinds of stuff happening. Clausen, who pitched for the Angels, won his first Major League Baseball game yesterday. So stuff like that's going to happen over and over and over from now until the end of the season. So you don't want to get caught up in that stuff.
Amen, amen. We'll send the second basket around for today's sermons. When me and Scotty started, and we used to always have our closing thoughts. And again, I think sometimes it's good to have closing thoughts just to get everyone situated in the right spots, the right frame of mind. Again, I'll close with the Friday night sermon. And today is payday for the majority of people watching and listening here. And I always use the pizza story where you get off of work at 5 o'clock, supposed to go home, see the wife, the kids, and then you call her up and say, hey, I'm going to bring pizza home for the family. It's been a hot week. I want you to cook. And instead of getting that pizza, you end up at your local watering hole where you place your action, a sports bar / casino, and instead of paying the bills, let me get a couple 7 o'clock games. Let's parlay and let's get some of this money back. Let's double down here. And you lose the 7 o'clock games, and next thing you know, you're stuck out on the West Coast, and it's 10:15, and the wife calls, "Hey, babe, getting ready to go to bed. Where's the pizza?" And the pizza's on the oven. It's 3 hours. It's cold. And you limp home at 11:30, and the lights are off, but your pillow is on the couch with the blanket with a nice note. Sleep tight. See you in the morning. So again, I always say, don't be the pizza man, and do what you're supposed to do. Be responsible, and the rest will kind of sort of play itself out. So check our timeline on Monday. I'll have next week's schedule for me and Scotty. I think what we might do, seeing week 0 is 2 weeks away, is if we're going to run 3 shows, me and Scotty, I think we'll run 2 baseball shows, and we'll run a football show, maybe some college and NFL. We can talk shop some previews. We can talk some futures. We can talk Heisman's. We can just have some fun. We'll be throwing the Nerf around. Rocket Sauce says, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. Rocket Sauce, same to you. Same to Kenny Magner, PB, and the rest of the family. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, at EC Sports Investor, one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves. Have a great weekend, and see you next week.